Hey there, welcome back to the channel. I'm John Hartness. I am the founder and publisher of Falstaff Books and the author of multiple ongoing series, including Quincy Harker Demon Hunter, Bubba the Monster Hunter, and the Black Knight Chronicles. And I wanted to talk to y'all briefly today about one of the ways that I see new writers shoot themselves in the foot before they've even taken the first step on their career path. And that is crapping on other people's books. There's a lot of books out there that we don't like. If you read a lot, you probably DNF a whole bunch of books. Stands for do not finish. I finish probably a third of the books I start. Some of it is because I just run out of steam. My vibe changes and I don't feel like reading that kind of thing. And sometimes because it's hot garbage. There are a lot of books out there and not all of them are well written. That's sad but true. And as there are more and more opportunities for more and more writers, there are going to be more and more books out there that are either badly written, badly edited, or more likely and more frequently just don't fit what you like. There are things that I've read or I've started to read that I just didn't click with. And I talked to friends of mine and they love this book. And I'm like, yeah, it just didn't vibe with me. There's a certain trope here, a certain plot device there that I really don't care for in books. So I kind of gave up on it. That happens. But what I see, and this is inspired by a YouTube video that I will not tag here because it could be any of hundreds out there. And it was a booktuber who is also a writer. And they were going through a published book and talking about how awful the prose was. Now, the examples that they cited were not exactly Hugo Award winning quality. The sentence structure wasn't great. I didn't love it. But here's the thing. When you, as a writer, no matter where you are in your career, but especially when you are relatively new in your career, when you, as a writer, especially one new in your career, slags on another writer or their work, one of two things are going to happen, and it's not metal. Either, if you're trashing somebody who's more successful than you, you look jealous. I've told the story of an author sitting on a panel with me at Dragon Con and talking about how Twilight was the biggest pile of crap he'd ever read. And I watched the audience, and I watched half a dozen people just shut down. They were done with this guy. They were never going to buy a book of his, and they were basically done with the panel because he'd just taken a big steam and crap on their favorite book. So I was the next to speak, and my immediate response was, well, I love Twilight. I was not the target audience for Twilight. I said this on the panel. I said, I'm not the target audience for Twilight. It wasn't written for me, but what I love about Twilight is that millions of people read it, and she stopped after like 4 books, which left millions of people looking for their next vampire book. I got a shelf full of books with vampires and werewolves and demons right behind me. And if those people are out there looking, some of them are going to find my stuff. So I love Twilight because it brought people into reading urban fantasy. And that's why I will never slag on Stephanie Meyer. The other reason I will never slag on Stephanie Meyer is because I remember the look on the faces in the audience when that writer did. And that taught me a very valuable lesson because I had certainly done the cool thing of shit talking the big selling book before that. But I paid attention just a little tiny bit for a change. I paid attention and I picked up a valuable tip. So if you're talking crap about someone who's more successful than you, then you look like a jealous little putz. If you're talking crap about somebody who's less successful than you, let's say I get on here and I talk junk about, here, I have an example. My friend Sammy Trinidad, has published her first book with a small press. Sammy is a fantastic human. I love her to death, and I'm looking forward to getting into reading this book, even though romance is not my typical genre. But Sammy's my friend. I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do. But if I were to get on here as a mid-list, mostly as a mid-list small press author, and talked crap about Sammy's book, one, not only would I be an absolute dick, but I would look like a horrific gatekeeping piece of trash because this is a debut author and I'm shitting all over her book. Now, I would never do that, not only to Sammy, but I wouldn't do that to anybody because Sammy's not my competition, Sammy's my friend. You know who else isn't my competition? Anybody. Nobody is my competition except me. And maybe your Paramount Plus subscription. So, crapping on somebody's work who's less successful than you, that just makes you look like a douche. Crapping on somebody's work that's more successful than you just makes you look like you're jealous. Even if it's terrible. It doesn't matter. Because the worst book ever written may very well still be one person's favorite book. And that person's not ever going to buy anything you write. And they're not going to watch any more of your videos because you just pooped all over their favorite bowl of cornflakes. Please don't poop in cornflakes. That's disgusting. This does not mean that if someone does something terrible, you can't call them out for awful behavior. We still need to do that. We need to not tolerate predators in our industry. We need to still not tolerate harassers in our industry. But that's not the same thing. Calling someone out for doing awful things, or even noting that someone has been accused of doing awful things, is not the same thing as shitting on another writer's book. I've been very open about the fact that Neil Gaiman was a big influence on my work. I have 2 Sandman tattoos on this arm. And I've been very open about the fact that I'm horribly disappointed in the things I've learned about his alleged behavior, and even more disappointed in seeing that he's suing someone who came out with allegations of horrible behavior against him, not because he says the allegations are untrue, but because it violated an NDA. Well, that's a dick move. But I'm not going to shit on his books. One, they're really well crafted. But also, that doesn't serve a purpose. Talking about people doing terrible things, that actually serves a purpose because it can hold up a light to bad behavior. And holding up a light to bad behavior makes the cockroaches scurry and get the hell out of my industry. Good people make mistakes, but we still don't need to be saddled with bad people. So if someone does something awful, name them and shame them. But if you don't like a book, keep your damn mouth shut, at least in public. I mean, so that's my advice to newer writers is if you hate a book, there are ways to say you didn't like a book without saying it was badly written. Wasn't for me. I don't really read that genre, so I think there was something I missed. Just not my jam. That doesn't hurt anything. That's not being a dick. Not every book is for everybody. I write Bubba the Friggin' Monster Hunter. I know that ain't for everybody. It's like a Sam Raimi movie, only with words. About the same number of explosions, though. So just say it's not for you. But don't pick it apart publicly. Don't slag the writer for being bad at their craft publicly. It doesn't do you any favors. So, if you want more advice like this for your writing career, or if you just think I'm somehow charming and amusing, please click the like and subscribe button. Leave a comment down below for a book you loved, not something you hated. Comment down below with something you loved and tell me why. Let's send some positivity out in the universe. Live, laugh, love. Yeah, I couldn't resist. I'm a middle-aged white guy. I can't resist. So, ring the bell to get notified. Buttons, comments, subscribe. I don't know. I've totally lost the thread. I'm going to go recaffeinate. And y'all, tell me about something you love. Bye.